Sunday message for September 8th, 2019. Now is the time of the 1,000-year wedding banquet. The scriptures comes from Matthew 22, 1-14. When you read today's scriptures, Matthew 22, 1-14, you see that Jesus used a parable to talk about heaven. This message isn't just something he said, but it was the word that Jesus gave using a parable while seeing the reality of that time period. That time period was a time in which the Messiah Jesus that God sent appeared. He preached the new gospel of the time period, saved people's bodies and spirits, and fulfilled the promise of God. It was a new history that people had been so eagerly waiting for. The new time period, the new history that people have been waiting for, is the time to fulfill the greatest hopes of the past. Jesus spoke about this time using a parable. He said, "This time is like a wedding banquet." The happiest time in your life is probably when you love and when you get married to someone you love. However, how did the people of that time period react to that valuable and joyful time? Again, Jesus used a parable to talk about how the people in his time period treated that joyful time. A king threw a wedding banquet for his son and sent his servants to bring those who had been invited. However, they did not want to come, and those who were invited didn't care. They just went to do their own things. The remaining people even captured the servants sent by the king and insulted them and even killed them. At this, the king was enraged, so he sent an army to destroy the murderers. And he spoke to the servants again. "The wedding banquet is ready, but those who were invited did not come. So go out to the streets and bring anyone you meet." The day of the wedding banquet finally came and the house was full of guests. The king went out to see the guests at the party. At the time, there was a person who was not wearing the wedding clothes. Upon seeing him, the king asked, "Friend, how did you get in here without wedding clothes when you had been invited to a wedding banquet?" The man was speechless. The king called his attendants and kicked him out, and he said to him, "There you will weep and gnash your teeth." Jesus was in the position of the king. Through this parable, Jesus made people realize that the position and the situation of that time period was like this. Those who were originally invited were the Jewish religious people who waited for God's promise for 4,000 years while believing in God. In other words, those who were in the Old Testament domain. However, they either went their own ways or they persecuted and tormented Jesus and those who preached the gospel of the time period, and they even killed some of them. So, Jesus made his followers testify more specifically and invited everyone else, the Gentiles who didn't know God or other ordinary people. They were the second people who were invited. When he did so, many people came before the Lord. However, there were people who came without the wedding clothes, right? It's said that they were rebuked by the king and got kicked out in the end. Wearing wedding clothes means equipping ourselves with the right actions. Jesus used a parable to tell them that they were invited to the new time period and came before the Lord, but those who did not have proper actions and proper manners would eventually be kicked out to the dark domain of death according to their deeds, and there they would gnash their teeth and suffer. Let me explain about clothes of deeds. Artists wear clothes that fit the time and situation when they perform in shows or go on stage. They should not wear just anything for a show or while performing on stage, right? Yeah, singers need to wear appropriate clothes when they perform in concert. Conductors need to wear the right clothes at the concert, and dancers need to dress appropriately to appear on the stage. If they wear just anything, it shows a lack of sincerity and bad manners. Spiritually speaking, clothes represent the result of your actions. Depending on a person's deeds and mission, that soul and spirit wear different clothes. Revelation 19:8 says, "Fine linen, bright and clean, was given her to wear." Fine linen stands for the righteous acts of God's holy people. Now, in this way, both your body and spirit are dressed according to your deeds. It can never be faked. Clothing and deeds are united. If you look at the clothes that your soul and spirit are wearing, you can see the nature of your body's deeds. Both your soul and spirit wear the relevant clothes based on your deeds. What kinds of clothes are you wearing? You should first be equipped properly with the deeds and manners, and then participate in the wedding banquet history, participate in the various events held by God and the Lord, and come out before God and the Lord. You shouldn't just say this and that about the history, about God, about the person the mission sent, but you should come equipped with basic manners. Clothes, that is, deeds, are basic. Eve was ashamed of her nakedness immediately after she fell. This means that she was ashamed of her deeds. She was ultimately disqualified from salvation and expelled from the Garden of Eden because of those deeds. Noah's son Ham was ashamed of Noah's nakedness. This was different from Eve's case. Noah was the righteous man of the time period in the sight of God. Noah's deeds were not shameful, but Ham judged Noah recklessly at his own immature level. Consequently, Ham was rebuked and even cursed by Noah. After hearing today's message, you should once again think deeply about what kind of time period this is, be equipped with proper deeds, and then stand before God and the Lord. Just as clean deeds are important, even those who don't know how to dress well should make sure to wear clean and neat clothes. There's a saying, clothes make the man, right? Even a king would be treated as a worker if he wore only work clothes. He needs to dress appropriately for each occasion he faces as a king. The same is true for you. To dress appropriately means to dress for the occasion. It should be deeds and clothes that fit the time. How you dress can even change your destiny. Deeds and clothes should fit the occasion. To wear better clothes and more radiant, cleaner, brighter clothing, you must not stumble on account of the Lord, yourself, or anyone else. You must not hesitate, but take action immediately upon hearing the Lord's word. I bless you to be equipped with proper deeds, participate in the wedding banquet history, participate in the various events held by God, and stand before God, the Holy Spirit, and the Lord.